Hey everyone, I'm Mike from theparkprodigy.com, and on today's video, we're going to break down exactly what you need to know if you have Marvel fans in your family and you are planning an Orlando vacation, specifically if you're planning a Universal Orlando vacation. And this video is going to be so important because you'll see Disney technically owns Marvel. We all know that, but when it comes to the theme parks, it does get confusing because Marvel is located in Universal Orlando on the East Coast. And then, of course, it is located in Disneyland over on the West Coast. So this can be a confusing topic, but that's exactly why we decided to create this video. So again, if you do have Marvel fans in your family and you are planning to go to Orlando, be sure to stick around until the end of this video. As always, I am very excited, so let's go get started. Thank you again so much for checking out this video. Like I said, we are about to break down everything you need to know about Marvel on the East Coast, specifically when it comes to Marvel Superhero Island over at Universal Orlando Resort, located. The park that is located in is Islands of Adventure Park. Now, when we start to break down everything we're going to go over in this video, essentially what is Marvel Superhero Island at Universal Studios, what are the Marvel rides located at Universal, we're even going to give you some tips and tricks on the best way to tackle the Marvel rides over at Islands of Adventure Park. Then, of course, more Marvel characters can you meet, some of the Marvel restaurants, and then last but not least, we do have some of the most popular questions regarding Marvel over at Islands of Adventure Park. So let's jump right in. We're going to start with the most basic question, and that, of course, is Marvel located in Universal Orlando? And yes, like we discussed, guests might be surprised to discover that Marvel Superhero Island is located at Islands of Adventure theme park, and this was part of the original opening park on May 28th, 1999. And that is one of the main reasons why Universal Orlando still has the Marvel attractions and the Marvel characters when it comes to the theme parks on the East Coast, because essentially Universal had this agreement in place before the Walt Disney Company purchased the Marvel franchise. Now, like I noted earlier in the video, it is important to note that Disney has since opened up a Marvel's Avengers campus over at Disney's California Adventure Park. And my honest opinion is, if you're really planning a trip like specifically for Marvel, my opinion is Disneyland has the better land between the two. From I would say an immersive standpoint, just from a really being a Marvel fan standpoint, Disney's California Adventure is going to be the better of the two lands. Now, that's not saying that, and you'll see Islands of Adventure has some really cool rides. Specifically, the Hulk coaster is one of my favorite. And from a roller coaster standpoint, this is something that Universal kind of always has the leg up over Disney. But this is how it works. So if you're planning a trip to Orlando and you're trying to figure out how many days do we spend at Disney, how many days do we spend at Universal, it's important to note that if you have Marvel fans in your family, you do have to go over to Universal Orlando, specifically Islands of Adventure Park, in order to enjoy essentially anything Marvel related. As I just finished that sentence too, I realized that it is a little bit more complicated than that, because of course now over in Epcot we do have Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. Guardians, outside of Guardians though, you'll see really majority of the Marvel stuff is over at Universal. Okay, so now let's jump into the rides, which is really the main point of any theme park vacation, right? So another one of the most popular questions we receive are, what are the Marvel Superhero Islands of Adventure rides? And in total, there are going to be 4 Marvel rides at Islands of Adventure. We're going to start with the most popular one, and that is going to be the Incredible Hulk coaster. So this giant green coaster can be seen from practically anywhere in Islands of Adventure Park. And this is one of the, in our opinion, best thrill rides and best roller coasters in all of Universal Orlando. And just some other tips and tricks. It's important to note that this roller coaster does go upside down. It does have launches that will kind of set you off in the beginning. And then also it does have a minimum height requirement of 54 inches. So if you do have young ones who are, kind of thrill junkies and they're trying to get on as many coasters as possible, that's just an important tip and trick to try to make sure that they are going to be tall enough. So moving over to the second ride, and we do have Doctor Doom's Fear Fall. And so the way I kind of would explain this ride is it's kind of like Tower of Terror in reverse, meaning that essentially you're going to be shot up 185 feet into the air only to be plummeted back down. A reverse of Tower of Terror, where you are pretty much kind of dropping in the ride. So Again, this is another one of the thrill rides over in Marvel Superhero Island at Islands of Adventure. And again, the minimum height requirement for this one is also going to be 52 inches. I would say too that, some folks, everyone's different, right? Some folks can do drops on roller coasters. Some folks cannot do drops. Some folks like to take off really fast. Some folks do not like to get shot up in the air like that or have, the drop like that. What I would say is one of the coolest things about this ride is once you get up there, there are some really, really cool views. You just have to get shot, like I said, 185 feet into the air in order to see those views. But I do think it is worth the risk. Moving on to the third ride. And this is, again, one of the most popular rides in all of Universal Orlando, specifically because it is the Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man. And we all know how popular Spider-Man really is. So in this ride, guests get to put on their 3D glasses for a high-flying virtual reality ride. Now, of course, taking it one step further, some families or some older millennials like myself might not feel comfortable with the 3D glasses, and it is like a motion simulator in a lot of parts. So you just be aware of that going in. Maybe take some Dramamine before you get on this ride. But essentially, you get to join Spider-Man as he soars above the streets chasing bad guys. And so the minimum height requirement for this is going to be 40 inches. And again, as you could see, I think we went from 52 inches in the last two rides down to 40. So this is, we're getting into the more kid-friendly rides. This is, again, a really, really popular one. And keep an eye out for Stan Lee. He has a couple cameos in this ride. So if you are really, true Marvel fan, or if you have true Marvel fans in your family, let them know, hey, Stan Lee has some cameos in this ride to, kind of just add to the ambiance. Moving over, and the last ride that we do have in Marvel Superhero Island, and this is going to be Storm Force Acceleration. And again, this is another great ride for the young kids. Essentially, Storm Force Acceleration is a teacup-style X-Men themed ride located right in the heart of Islands of Adventure Park. The other cool thing about this is that there are no minimum height requirements at this time. However, the rules are riders who are under 48 inches tall must be supervised by a companion to ride. Okay, so those are the four main rides over in Marvel Superheroes Island. And then again, like we said, we're going to give you some of the best tips and tricks. What is the best way to tackle these rides? Specifically, we're breaking down, if you are only going to Islands of Adventure for Marvel Superhero Island, this is really the best way in our opinion. And again, if you've been watching our channel, this might not come as a surprise, but we would always recommend to rope drop and arrive a half hour before the park opens. And essentially, if you've been watching our channel, you know that we talk a lot about early park admission, right? So, when it comes to early park admission, Marvel Superhero Island is not included in those early park admission rides. So you do have to be mindful of that. And, let me first break down how I would do it if you're not going to do Harry Potter or the Velocicoaster. Essentially, what I would do is, again, I would arrive a half hour before regular park opening, and then essentially what this will allow you to do is Universal will let you into the park at this point. When you get into the park, everyone's going to go right to go to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. You're essentially just going to go left, and you're not going to be able to enter Marvel Superhero Island just yet, but you'll be able to kind of just stand there, kind of rope drop as they call it, and you'll be able to wait until those rides officially open up at Park Open. And then at that point, the order I would go on the rides is going to be the Incredible Hulk Coaster, Doctor Doom's Fearfall, The Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man, and then Storm Force Acceleration. If you are going for early park admission, when we just did a video on the best time to show up for Universal, and I gave a breakdown of really the best time to show up to get the most out of early park admission, I would go and watch that video. But essentially what I would do in that case is follow the tips and tricks in that video, and then you'll do Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure first, you'll do the Velocicoaster second, and then essentially after you get those two rides out of the way, I would go to Marvel Superhero Island and do Hulk Coaster, Doctor Doom's Fearful, and The Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man. You can fit in Storm Force Acceleration at the end, but I guess from a convenience standpoint, you would want to do that. But what I would do after that is after the Spider-Man, if you don't want to do Storm Force Acceleration, I would then go hop back over to the Wizarding World and try to get on those, specifically Forbidden Journey and Flight of the Hippogriff, like ASAP. It's a crazy morning, but again, I do think if you utilize early park admission or if you take advantage of rope dropping, you will get the most out of your morning, and then they will be set up that much more. Okay, so let's jump into another really, really important topic when it comes to Marvel Superhero Island, and that is which characters are going to be located within this section of the park. And so guests will be delighted to hear that they can meet Wolverine, Cyclops, Spider-Man, Storm, Rogue, Captain America, Green Goblin, and Doctor Doom. Now, the other cool thing about this is that many of these photo opportunities are included with your My Universal Photo Pass. So if you do decide to upgrade and grab that Photo Pass, you will be able to take pictures with some of your favorite Marvel characters. All right, moving over to something that I love to talk about, and that is food. So what are the Universal Studios Marvel restaurants? And at this point in time, there are going to be two main Universal Studios Marvel restaurants. And the other cool thing is that one of them does have a Marvel character dining experience, which Universal just brought back a couple months ago. So the current restaurants found in Marvel Superhero Island are going to be Captain America Diner and the Cafe 4. And Cafe 4 is where the Marvel character dining experience is held for lunch and for dinner. It's also important to note that we do highly recommend, this does require a reservation at this point in time, and we always recommend to make that reservation as quickly as possible. And of course, if you are using a company, like the Park Prodigy for your Universal Orlando vacation package, we'll help you make those dining reservations. And if you haven't booked your package yet, this is a shameless plug. Please be sure to go check out the Park Prodigy, because we would love to help you plan your next Universal Orlando trip. So the cost for the Marvel character dining experience is going to be $52.99 for adults and $29.99 for kids ages 3 to 9 at this point in time. Of course, those prices might change in the future, but that is essentially what you're looking at. And again, this is another really, the dining experience is a cool thing to do, specifically if you really do have, diehard Marvel fans in your family. All right, so last but not least, don't forget to check out some of the Marvel stores within Islands of Adventure Park. And we do have the Marvel Boutique, the Spider-Man shop, and the comic book shop. All right, and so to finish it off with some of the most popular questions, again, this is kind of just running through, giving you the last little tips and tricks. What are the best rides in Marvel Superhero Island? In our opinion, for thrill seekers, is going to be the Incredible Hulk Coaster and then Doctor Doom's Fearfall. What are the best rides for kids in Marvel Superheroes Island? Again, we're going to go with The Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man and Storm Force Acceleration. And then another very, very important thing to note is that a lot of folks, right, I kind of feel like I personally am a huge theme park fan, but I love everything about, Disney, Universal, the movies, everything, right? So I love Marvel, I love Star Wars, I love Pixar, like all that stuff. When it comes to Marvel, I feel like a lot of times you're a Marvel fan and then you're also a Star Wars fan. So a lot of families are trying to figure out, how do we do Star Wars and Marvel? And unfortunately, the reality is they're both located in two completely separate parks. So as we discussed, Marvel is located at Universal Orlando in Islands of Adventure Park, and Star Wars is going to be located in Disney World in Disney's Hollywood Studios Park. So keep that in mind as you're planning your next Universal Orlando vacation. And that is really it, everyone. That is the complete guide to Marvel over at Universal Orlando. I really, really hope that you found this video helpful. I hope that you learned a thing or two. Don't forget that, of course, Universal Orlando does have the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, which we have a ton of videos on that. If you're interested, make sure you go check those out. And then, of course, it also does have a Jurassic Park section over in Islands of Adventure Park. So there's a lot going in Islands of Adventure Park, and hopefully you do get the most out of your day. And like I said, if you are in the process of planning a Universal Orlando trip and you do need a little additional help, just be sure to go check out our website, theparkprodigy.com. We do have a bunch of discounted theme park tickets. We're running a bunch of deals on discounted Universal Orlando vacation packages. We're a travel agency, so essentially it's the exact same thing that you would book over at Universal Orlando, except you'll get our help in the planning process. You'll get some free park plans, custom itineraries, all that good stuff, and you really will make sure that you get the most out of your next vacation. But I think that's all the time we have for today. Thank you all again so much for checking out this video. And until next time, I will talk to you soon.